This is the Garden of Creativity, and these flower crafts are in full bloom. I'm Melissa, and this is Craft Crumbs. Thank you for joining me. For this first one, I'm using two of the 8x10 canvas frames from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using gesso, which is an excellent primer choice for going over canvas. If you don't have gesso, you don't have to spend the extra money to get it. Just use regular acrylic paint. By the way, later in the video, I'm going to share a new idea that I have for a series of videos on the channel. I want to get your thoughts and see if it's something you'd be interested in seeing. I've set that aside to dry, and coming back, I taped a stencil with wildflowers down to each one of these canvases. And I'm going to use my Dollar Tree spackle for this. I'm going to fill in the stencil with the spackle using a painter's spatula. You could use any kind of tool that you're comfortable holding in your hand to do this. I'm going to do this 2 times with each stencil, so I complete the first, set it aside to dry just for about 3 minutes or so, and then I'll go back and apply a second coat of this spackle. This will give us a nice raise when we pull that stencil off. I'm going to use my heat tool to blow off any of those spackle crumbs. Just get those out of the way. You can see on the left I have a few beaded clay strands that I'm going to apply to the outer edge of each of these. For a permanent hold, I'm going to use Titebond wood glue, apply that to the edges, and then I'm going to use my finger to kind of smooth it out so we don't have any gaping glue. Once the clay strands are down, use anything with a straight edge to ensure that they're bumping up against the edge of the canvas frame. Now that spackle in the middle is still wet, so I want to be careful not to brush my hand over it when I'm painting. I'm going to go in with one light coat of white acrylic paint over those beads, and then I'm going to set the entire 2 pieces aside to dry for several hours. I'm using a wool paintbrush to ensure that I get into all of those little nooks and crannies. It's the next day, and both of these pieces are completely dry. I'm going to use that same matte white acrylic paint to cover both pieces from corner to corner. I set both canvas pieces aside to dry for about 30 minutes and calling these done. Now, if you want to add a little bit of color, this is how you can do it easily. You're going to lay down that original stencil you used to create the image, tape it down to the canvas so it doesn't move and shift, and then use whatever medium you want to paint over the spackle. If you want to add color to the bead strands, just use a piece of scrap cardboard or paper to prevent that color from getting onto the canvas, unless you want it there. If you want it there, that's totally cool. I love the way that it looks in one color, and the color choice is yours. Let me know in the comments what you think about this easy flower craft. We're going to do one more wall art piece, and then we're going to get into more interesting stuff. I'm going to use this barnwood palette plank from Walmart to create this DIY. I'm going to paint one light coat haphazardly over the surface of the board using white acrylic paint, the same paint we used in the first DIY. I'm going to use this sheet of rice paper with this beautiful hydrangea, and I'm just deciding placement. I noticed that if I center this to use the entire piece, that I cut off the flower when centering the words at the top. So I'm going to start to pull this apart slightly and position things on in a way that makes sense. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. This is your stamp of approval and lets YouTube know that the content is good enough to push out to other crafters like us. This small show of support can really help my channel grow. And if I grow, the projects get better. I have the hydrangea down, and I also Mod Podged other parts of that same paper sheet around the top corners. I'm just going to look for a piece of ephemera to put at the top, and I think this butterfly is perfect. I'm going to use just clear school glue to attach this to the board. This is the Tim Holtz ephemera, so it's a little shiny. That's why I'm choosing this method to get it down. Okay, pretend you didn't just see my jumping butterfly. I just bought this new pack of markers, and I was drawn to it because it has glitter pens. So this is a gold glitter paint pen. I'm going to go around the petals of each of these flowers and in the center and add a little bit of pop to them. I'm going to use a red glitter paint pen to go in and darken some of these red areas of the hydrangea and just using my finger to blend it in a bit. I'm going to use just the normal black acrylic paint marker to add some contrast to the leaf. I'm going over those darker areas of the leaf. And we'll add a little bit of the black to the stems. See how shiny that butterfly is? We're going to take care of that in the end. I'm going to pull two resin embellishments that I had pre-made and paint them both in acrylic gold and then attach them to the wood piece, one at the top and one at the bottom. I'm going to apply gold leaf to the edges, but first I need to apply a thin coat of gold leaf glue. I'll set this aside to dry until it becomes tacky. When applying the gold leaf, I'm going to go just around those edges where I applied the glue, and then I'll periodically touch those areas to see if I feel any tackiness, and if I do, I'll apply a little bit more gold leaf in those spots. Then using a clean dry paintbrush, I'm going to apply pressure and go over that gold leaf to remove any remnants. I pulled this handle off of a brown shopping bag, and I'm going to use that as a hanger. I'm going to seal the entire piece with Rust-Oleum Clear Matte Top Coat, and that's going to get rid of the shine in the butterfly and offer a layer of protection. Here it is complete. This was quite a few steps, but I love the outcome. I don't know where I'm going to hang this yet. I don't know if I'm even going to keep it. I may give it away as a gift. Yeah, no, forget that. I'm keeping this one. Go down into the comments and let me know what you think about this one. We're about to make the most stunning wreath you've seen all year using mostly Dollar Tree items. There's only one item in this entire project that's not Dollar Tree. So let's get started. I'm taking some of this white tulle. I don't know if you can get this particular white tulle right now. I haven't seen it, but this was in my stash and I picked it up last summer. I'm going to wrap the entire wreath form in this, and this will give a nice housing for the stems that we're going to apply to the wreath. I want to give it a nice bed of greenery. So I'm going to start by taking this vine that I picked up at Dollar Tree a few weeks ago, and I'm going to glue this down just in a few little areas. I don't want to have too much glue on this because if I choose to ever pull this apart, who am I kidding? This thing's gorgeous when it's done. I'm never pulling it apart. But should you want to, the less you use, the easier it'll be. Here I have a few more Dollar Tree greenery picks. I cut them off of the stem and now I'm going to cut them down to be about the same size. And now I'm just going to stick those into the tulle. If I can find an area where the tulle layers over the next loop, I'll do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to prick a hole with my scissors and pop it in there. A few weeks ago in Dollar Tree, looking at their florals, I found a couple of bundles of these beautiful flowers. It looks like we have some zinnias in here, some poppies, and a few other varieties. The leaves are also in great condition. These are some of the best quality flowers I've found at Dollar Tree to date. I picked up the only two bundles that they had in stock at the time. I'm going to use these as the main element of the wreath, the showstopper. I think I said these were zinnias, but I think they're actually dahlias. And what I'm doing here is just cutting the heads off because really that's all I want on the wreath. I cut down a majority of the flowers that I'm going to use and I'm going to start popping them on here randomly. Really no rhyme or reason. That's not how I create my wreaths. I don't worry about flowers being cohesive from top to bottom or left to right. I'll start with dark colors and then I'll slowly start to add in lighter, with the focus of evenly distributing the different colors and sizes. I'm now going to start to add in other flower bunches from the Dollar Tree. I'm not sure what these yellow and pink flowers are. They may be carnations. If you know, drop a comment so the rest of us can know. Going back to those first bundles, I'm going to cut off these orange flowers. I don't know what they are. They may be poppies, but I like those long leaves that stand straight up, and they're going to look really cool on the wreath. Here's yet another bundle from the Dollar Tree. It has small daisies and what look like hydrangeas. The leaves are awful, and I'm good with throwing the rest of this away. The lighter color flowers will add a little light to the wreath. I think we've all seen these little burgundy flowers with the green centers. Some of them have glitter or other glistening stuff in them. These do not. But I'm going to just use these sort of as fillers and added interest. This is the element that is not Dollar Tree. I have some of these sprigs. They are really just scrap sprigs that I had in my stash. I picked these up from Walmart probably last year, but these are a staple at Walmart. You can almost always find them. I'm going to pop these in to make it look more natural and break things up a little bit. I'm going to add in some of these long skinny flowers. They're so pretty. I almost should have sprayed these with hairspray before I started working with them. Something to keep in mind if you use these in a wreath. Look at all of that lusciousness. Excellent. I'm going to flip this over and create a hanger. If you were waiting on me to add a bow to this wreath, I'm sorry, not sorry. Bows are just not my thing, although I will use them out of desperation, which you'll see in the next DIY. I made this beehive in the last video and I was going to put it on the wreath, but I think it just makes things look a little too busy. I do put something else on, which you're going to see in a minute. Here's the wreath complete as you've seen it. And here it is with the butterfly that I did in a short. This is a sun catcher, so when I open those curtains on the door and let the light shine in, I'll be able to see it coming through that butterfly. And what a cute addition to this wreath. Let me know in the comments what you think about this DIY. I'm going to use this tin that I picked up at Hobby Lobby a few weeks ago for $5.99. Outside and off camera, I painted this with one coat of white primer paint and then applied a clear top coat to give me a smooth finish. I'm going to use this grid panel that I had in my basement. I actually have many of these, and I typically use these for shows when I set up to sell my crafts. If I can find a small set of these on Amazon, I'll link them in the description for you. Here I took the grid panel and I'm setting it on the inside of the planter and marking where I want to drill holes. The holes are just large enough to accommodate Dollar Tree's smallest zip ties. Before I go any further, I'm going to take my precision snips and get rid of the sharp pieces that came through when I drilled the holes. I'm going to decoupage this napkin onto the front and sides of this planter. Remember, I wanted to run an idea for the channel by you? I hope you like it, but I want you to be honest because it takes a lot of work to create these videos, and I'm almost always on pins and needles waiting to see how a video is received. And I truly want to create content that you enjoy. So here's my idea. I can't share a lot of details because other YouTube creators watch my videos as I watch theirs, and until I know what I'm doing, I want to keep it on the down low. You get it, right? I'm thinking of launching a video series where I take one type of product and explore in a range of shapes, sizes, and colors, all within the same product family. Each piece will be thoughtfully designed and presented in a fun and engaging way. The goal is to inspire viewers with ideas of creating beautiful, sellable products that can be made quickly and efficiently. The videos won't be released all at once, but spaced out between our regular content. So I'm curious. What do you think? Not to sway you one way or another, but I already have the first video in the planning phase. So much so that it would be one of the next two videos I put out. Not to interrupt this awesome conversation we're having, but I am still just decoupaging this napkin onto the planter. Anyway, before I start filming the first video in the series, it would mean the world to me to know what you think about the idea with the little bit of information that I've given you. Um, it all depends on you. No pressure though. Now that the Mod Podging is done, I'm going to go in around the edges of the planter with my black paint marker. I went out back and gathered a few twigs from my honeysuckle vine. I like them because they have a nice curve to them, but any twigs here will do. I'm going to tie off the bundle of twigs with some brown raffia. Off camera, I zip tied the grid panel to the planter, and now I'm going to use another one of those small zip ties to attach this bundle to the grid. If you don't have these grids and don't want to purchase anything like it, you could use some chicken wire, just frame it out with paint sticks so it stands up on its own. For anyone wondering why I attached the grid panel to the front inside part of the planter, you're not alone. I wondered that myself, and off camera at some point in this making process, I do a switcheroo, detach it, and then reattach it to the back, which you'll see in a few minutes. But for now, I'm going to continue to decorate this. This is a pack of bird's nests. Some of them are produced by man. And look at this one in my hand that I just set on the table. This is actually a real bird's nest. It was kind of a sweet surprise in this pack because I didn't notice it when I bought it. And I just wonder how this came about. Did somebody find this on the ground? I wonder what the story behind it is. But I'm just going to find one here that I like, and I'm going to use another zip tie to attach it to the grid. I used the blade of my scissors to poke a small hole and feed a zip tie through. I wanted to fill it in a bit more at the bottom, so I'm going to take a few more of these smaller twigs and kind of feed them in and around that grid at the bottom. I'm going to use my scissors to poke another hole in the bird's nest and then feed one of these taller twigs through it to hold it in place. This will make it look more natural too. I also thrifted a small collection of rose heads, and I'm going to use those throughout the branches to create a rose tree of sorts. And then these leaves did not come with the rose heads. These came with something else, but they're rose leaves. So I'm going to put them on as well, just to add some green. Anywhere the branch allows me to, I'm going to put it right on the tip. And here is the entire piece with that grid moved now to the back panel. And because I made a couple of scratches in the paint, I'm going to use white acrylic paint to cover that up. And then I'm also going to paint over those zip ties to hide them a little bit. In the bird's nest, I've already put a little bird in there, and I'm just going to add a little bit of moss to complete the look. And this is what it looks like so far. I made this bow. It's just a standard wreath bow, and I'm going to attach it here on the side. I honestly thought this needed something, and I was desperate because I didn't know what I could add to this without making it look too busy. So a bow it is. Here it is complete. I'm going to use this as a planting station. These two jars were made in a previous video. I'll link that down below for you if you'd like to see it, as well as this tin where I keep the seed packets. Now that I made in my very first video. If you're brave enough to go back and watch it, it's pretty mortifying. I'll link that down below for you as well. The most beautiful thing about this video is you, my friend. You that have stayed with me until the end. You that have taken time to comment and like the video. I so appreciate you. If you haven't already, subscribe for more DIY inspiration. And until next time, my friend, don't forget to craft what you love.